Hello, today we're going to look at MBTI, Myers Briggs Type Indicator. It's a tool that's widely used in business, commerce, industry, education, even medical practices, as a way of helping people discover a bit more about themselves and also about how other people tick. So this short introductory video is a preface to some online material that will be loaded onto Moodle. There'll be an audio transcript which accompanies some slides. There's also a couple of tests which we'd like you to do before the first session so that you are ahead of the game, as it were. Myers Briggs is a course that I have done, I think, 3 times now over the years, and I have got slightly different results each time I've taken it because we change as individuals. The scores I scored for some things have changed quite a bit. This is a course I did with CWR, Understanding Yourself, Understanding Others. In the booklet, they begin by quoting from Romans 12, verses 4 to 8. As we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body, and every one members one of another, having then gifts differing. In fact, this term gifts differing is the title of the book written by the inventors of the MBTI. So MBTI was developed by an American mother and daughter team, Catherine Briggs and Isabel Myers, in the 1920s and 30s. Isabel Myers quotes from Romans 12 in her writing about MBTI and entitled her main book on the indicator, Gifts Differing. So this is, MBTI offers a straightforward and affirmative way to help people look at themselves, and for many of us self-awareness doesn't come too easily, but this is a tool that's been used. You may be familiar with other tools. The Enneagram, for example, has been popular in recent years and bears some similarities with MBTI. Here's a couple of resources that I've used in the past. The first one is called Just Your Type, and it's an application of the 16 personality types that MBTI identifies to relationships. And I've used this in marriage preparation to help couples who've done the test and therefore know the letters that designate their personality, how they will react in combination with their prospective partner. There is no one best combination for personality type. I don't think there's anything such thing as an incompatibility of personality. But what it does do is show that with each of the types there are joys and challenges. So it has a chart which lists all the different combinations of the letters and then gives a couple of pages on each of them describing how to reach your ESTJ partner, the joys, the frustrations, advice for, and so forth. So it's just a useful tool, and sometimes I've recommended couples to do this on a date night. Instead of reading out the letter designations that they're given, to substitute their own names. And couples have said this is an amazingly accurate portrayal of how we actually interact with one another and how we are as individuals. Here's another book which came too late for my wife and I to use when bringing up our children, but this is Nurture by Nature, again by the same people, Paul Tiger and Barbara Baron-Tiger. Nurture by Nature. The idea that our children are, yes, they're individuals, but by the time they're perhaps between 10 and 12, they too, their personality types too can be identified. And it's important for parents that they know how to that they have all the wisdom that they need to bring up their children, and this is just another tool or resource that couples have found helpful. This is a booklet that I've not used in the context of an organisation, but I know businesses have. You see, it will give a brief description of the 16 personality types and then say how these personalities are going to interact on a team basis. Any business leadership team that is top heavy regarding certain personality attributes is going to have weaknesses in other areas. So the message is that the different personality types need each other, that each has strengths and has weaknesses, and it's good to realise what these are. Now, when you hear of MBTI, instinctively you'll either think, this is wonderful, why haven't I heard about this before? Well, I guess some of you have already in other contexts, work contexts or church contexts. And some of you will be really gung-ho to get involved and find out what your personality type is according to the MBTI description. But there are others who will instinctively hold back and say, no, I don't like being pigeonholed this way. This is not who I am. I'm not I can't be reduced to a 4-letter designation. I can understand that. The comparison I like to draw is between the chemical elements of the atomic table. I remember chemistry lessons when I was 13 or 14, seeing the chart on the wall which listed, I think it probably was 104 or 105 different elements at that stage. I bet by now we're up to 120. And I've often thought that just as that is an accurate way of describing the physical world, and the scientists who've discovered the various elements could in some sense, like the astronomer Kepler, say, my God, I'm thinking thy thoughts after thee. In other words, they were discovering things that God had put in place in the natural world around us. They were discovering processes that God had done, but nevertheless were real and were scientifically observable. Well, that's the periodic table of the elements. But just suppose that our personalities can be identified in a similar sort of way, not perhaps in so much detail, but 16 different types. And this is a helpful way, perhaps, of looking at the way God has made us. Again, there isn't the same scientific basis for this as there would be for the chemical elements, but there's been an awful lot of testing, field work to show that these personality types do fairly accurately. It's a very useful tool for all of us. So I'm going to close now and leave you to discover some of the slides and the audio description I've given, and then afterwards we'll come together in a Zoom meeting and I'll have your feedback and we can engage with this further. So thank you all for watching. Enjoy the rest of the time.